The topic of this video is graffiti. Graffiti is a controversial topic. Sometimes it annoys you, sometimes you admire the talent of the artist, and sometimes you just glance at it and keep walking. But no matter your opinion on the subject, graffiti is everywhere. Small towns to big cities, graffiti is there. So where does the word graffiti come from? Graffiti comes from the Greek word graphene, which means to write. The problem with graffiti is that there's too much gray area. A percentage of people want the vandalism to go away, but purchase the artwork of former graffiti artists. Graffiti is an inexpensive way for artists to advertise their work and reach a wider audience. Graffiti is the root of many artists and the roots of the city's cultures. Graffiti reflects the political issue and the conditions of the city. Why tarnish it? Graffiti has been the foundation for many artists, including the following: Shepard Fairey, Banksy, Keith Haring, JR, and Lady Pink. And these are only some of them. Multiple graffiti artists have become famous due to their work. We need to come up with a creative way to satisfy both the pro-graffiti activists and the anti-graffiti activists. First, we need to discuss the 5 motivating factors of graffiti. By doing this, we will have a better understanding of why people choose to partake in graffiti over drawing on a piece of paper. The 5 motivating factors are fame, rebellion, self-expression, power, and marking territory. If we want to eliminate gang-related graffiti, we must eliminate 3 of the motivating factors, which include rebellion, power, and marking territory. But how? Now, I'm sure there are multiple ways to fix this problem, and I'm sure multiple ways have been tried, but one way that we are going to talk about today and focus on is creating designated art zones. Art zones would be a legal place where artists and graffiti artists could display their work. By doing this, they would still reach the public that they had before, but also it would eliminate the dangers associated with illegal graffiti, such as being arrested. Now we just need to label the buildings properly so artists know which is okay for them to create artwork on and which is not okay. Now I know what you're thinking, that this is going to be too hard to enforce, but in fact, we won't need any extra enforcement with this idea. Instead of focusing on police enforcement to keep the buildings clean, we are going to utilize different building materials to prevent vandalism. Now there are 2 possible ways to do this. We could either add landscape and greenery like hanging gardens, or we can construct buildings with materials such as glass, which is not commonly a canvas for graffiti. Now the material option means that we would have to build a building from scratch for it to work. So instead we are going to focus on how live walls are better than just scrubbing off graffiti. Here's an example on how live walls will affect a city. For example, in Los Angeles, California, they spent about $7 million per year to clean up graffiti. And in 2015, they cleaned up to 32.4 million square feet of it. That is a lot. Now, live wall cost is about $85 to $115 per square foot. And if you want to do it yourself, it's $45 to $65 per square foot. But keep in mind, you do not have to cover the whole building for this to work. Now, as you can tell by the figures that I just gave, it is going to cost way more to install a live wall rather than just cleaning up the mess. But when looking at long term, the live wall wins because it is not an annual investment. With cleaning the graffiti, you are only hiding the problem rather than solving it. Along with preventing graffiti, live walls reduce noise by 40 decibels and is environmentally friendly. By installing live walls and creating art zones, we can ensure that we will reach a middle ground with the graffiti crisis.